From the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
Iranian oil,
And when the band plays
90% of it, 90% of it is sold to one country and one country only. And that country is China. I don't give a rip about Iran. What do you think of that, squirrel? I mean, after all of the Persians who are here and very successful understand why Iran sucks. It's not really a country. It's a cult. And they cannot have an agreement with anybody who is not a member of that cult. It is against their cult rules, their cult law, which is why there is no assimilation in any country that cult occupies. It's really that simple. And when it comes to the oil business, is it only a handful of us that remember all of the fraud that was in the entire reality of the theocracy being handed a country?
We need to have a realization that we've got about 35 years worth of oil left in the whole world. We're going to run out of oil. When Mr. Nixon made his famous speech on Operation
your
Independence,
useless, corrupt, failed ass up. That's the thing about Jimmy Carter. He represents the greatest and the most obvious intellectual shortcomings among any politician in the history of the presidency, only to be outdone by who had soiled his trousers, lost his mind, and stole an election. That's how he got in. And when you look at the failed areas in this country, they're all the common denominator of Democrats, kind of like oil and the common denominator of all things, which is why if we're going to talk about Iran and its effect on oil, it should have none. It should have absolutely none whatsoever. When 90% of the product that comes out of the ground of the only business in that whole fracking country, which has a GDP less than half the revenue of Walmart. All of this angst over a country who has a GDP less than half the revenue of Walmart. Please keep that in mind. And the idea that we look to the oil market, ooh, what's that going to do for oil? Nothing. It should have no effect. But it does, and the reason is corporatism.
The U.S. just sanctioned 30 more companies shipping Iranian oil. It won't matter. 90% of Iran's crude still flows to China. 1.5 million barrels every single day through a
Think about that. This country that you're so worried about produces less than 2 million barrels a day. We, the great example of capitalism, the innovators of all things, America, we export millions of barrels a day. Millions. And we have enough for our own consumption. In fact, it's only because of regulation and regulation alone that we are hamstrung to the rest of this so-called Middle East nonsense garbage oil, which is why it's nice and it's refreshing to see a president for the first time understand exactly what we're dealing with when we deal with theocrats. If you want to talk about Persia and the beauty of it, you'll have to go before Jimmy Carter. You want to talk about the beauty of so-called people from Islam, you'll have to talk about the ones in America not dressed like they're selling camels on Western Avenue.
We attacked very powerfully last night. The very dangerous people from Iran, they're sick. There's something wrong with them.
They're like Democrats. Can't tell the fracking truth. No matter how many times you ask them, no matter how obvious it is they lie, they have to. Because like Democrats, whose religion is corruption, I would say communism, but there's no such thing. Their religion is theft of other people's money. The Islamo-Nazi, pretending to be an Iranian, his religion is a cult that says everybody else must die.
We said, go and do your funeral stuff. And instead of that, they start shooting rockets at ships. yesterday. And so we hit them very hard last night, very hard. I would say 20-1, 20 times tougher. And I told them every time you hit, we hit. And of course they're dirty players, so they go after everyone, probably including me. I've been number one on their list for years. And they're a bunch of scum, you want to know that they're scum.
A bunch of scum! Exactly. Yes, they are. And every government, every single government that imprisons their own people are scum, like in Cuba. You don't hear a lot about the Cuban healthcare system anymore, huh? You know why? Because it sucks. It's a prison island. Just like the Soviet Union was a prison camp. Just like East Germany, a prison camp. This is what they are. And the good news out of all of this is, finally, we can stop pretending that you can ever have a civilized agreement with uncivilized, barbaric morons who are still dressing like camel salesmen from the year 622.
And so we don't like them. I don't like them.
Kill them all!
They're evil people, and it's the denuclearization of Iran. And we're going to de-nuke it. We're not going to let them because they're crazy.
We're going to de-nuke it until you say, de-nuke it, stop de-nuking. We're going to de-nuke you real good, like Puff Daddy and his cellmate. You're going to get de-nuked.
And they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they go around killing people. They've killed thousands and thousands of our soldiers. They've killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people. They had the roadside bomb, Soleimani. I took care of him first term. And that was a big thing because I think it probably would be a lot stronger had he been around because he was a bad guy, but he was an evil genius.
He died like a dog. He died like a coward.
And he was the father of the roadside bomb.
Whimpering, screaming, and crying.
On when you're driving your
frankly,
vehicle around, and it goes on, and you have no legs, no arms, and no face.
And this cult of death, despotism, feudalism, this cult of misery, wife beating, child mutilating scum. They have been financing the other offshoots of the cult, like these scum from Gaza who perpetrated a crime on October 10th that shall go down in infamy among the decent, which is why the indecent must figure out how to capitalize on it. Like that nine-finger Yakuza, Rahm Emanuel, ironically a Jew, but they're not really anything. Whether you talk about Rahm, his brother who pretends to be a doctor, Dr. Death, or you talk about that asshat Hollywood producer, founder of Uber, they're not really anything other than scum. And their God is money and power, which is why Rahm Emanuel today is going to pretend he can do anything other than giving a great example of how to steal other people's money.
Former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel is expected to give a speech tomorrow slamming Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and criticizing the U.S. relationship with Israel. Emanuel will...
Well, that's because his party is the Nazi Party, the out-of-the-closet American Democrat Nazi Party. And we'll get to Graham Plattner winning the nomination and possibly the Senate. After all, if Democrats are in charge of the election, they'll steal it.
Will speak at Tel Aviv University. His father, as you may or may not know, was born in Jerusalem, and he's been a longtime defender of Israel. But in his remarks obtained by the Associated Press, Emanuel will propose sanctions on Israelis who attack Palestinian civilians.
What? What the frack is that, stupid? You moron. Even the other idiot Democrats don't even know that means absolutely nothing. Did you know, Squirrel, what the Israeli debt is? It's interesting. As a country, the Israeli debt as a country is less than the amount of money Medicare gets robbed by Islamo-Nazis and other Democrat scum every year. Did you know that? Fascinating. But you have people, morons particularly, who pretend we finance Israel. We don't finance anything but our own weapon purchases, which is why Israel should have been smart. They should have said, no. Now we'll make our own. And they wouldn't need the friendship of America in the form of the friendship of a Democrat like Rahm Emanuel, who for 90% of his career, all through the Clinton years, so you see, that's how he made his bones. He didn't make it earning. The only time he had a job, he cut his fracking finger off, this stupid son of a pig. It was all through that cultivation of the rapist, Bill Clinton, and the Duchess of Chafington, his wife. He's like George Stephanopoulos, only not as quite side-saddly.
He also plans to call for an end to U.S. subsidies for Israel's defense spending. This all comes as a new survey shows Democrats are shifting their views on Israel. The AP found 50...
They're not shifting their views on Israel. They just need the possibility when they steal elections. See, they steal them. And what they need is the idea that a bunch of morons walking around who don't realize they're slaves inside of their districts say, well, it's possible. It's possible they won. There's no such thing as a fracking election when Democrats are in charge of anything.
Fulton County made a stunning admission about the 2020 election. After almost 5 years of assuring voters all procedures were followed, it turns out that may not be entirely true. Now they face some steep fines from the state elections board. Atlanta News First political reporter Doug Reardon is live tonight at the state capitol, where this all came out earlier this month. Doug.
Yeah, good evening, Blair. And those fines could crest $1 million if the state elections board gets exactly.
Here's a question for you. How does a bust-out, corrupt county like Fulton, which is similar to Chicago, and if it's possible, slightly less IQ points, how does a bust-out, bankrupt county pay a fine to the federal government? You want to talk about a bunch of circle handing around debt, bunch of circle ghetto-nomics. That's it right there. Fulton, like Cook County, like every Democrat city, county, and state, is bankrupt. You got no fragging money. That's why you're steeped in scandal, no matter where you are.
Funding for Chicago Public Schools is also in the spotlight. Mayor Brandon Johnson will join school leaders and the teachers union in demanding a special session in Springfield. That's happening this morning at 9:30 at the Board of Education building.
What happened, you bums? You misappropriate a few $100 million like you did every fracking quarter, you scumbags.
And Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is talking about the budget and budget opponents after revealing that the revenues in this year's budget have come up $130 million short.
Shocking to absolutely no one with an IQ over 60. So what do you do now, Squirrel? Somebody whisper, reparations!
Finally, I'm honored to break ground on this memorial with you all today. And I look forward to seeing this place of remembrance and healing realized. Thank you again to the survivors and the Chicago Torture Justice Memorial Foundation and the members and all of you who displayed an incredible amount of courage to push us till today. I'm grateful to work with you all, and let's continue to build an economy that works for all. Reparations and reparations now. Thank you all. God bless you. God bless the greatest city in the world, Chicago.
You have to be such a franken moron. You would still admit to being a Democrat.
It is noteworthy that the percentage of women who register to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line.
You're all so franken scummy. 312-642-5600.
He's Shaun Thompson.
Hello, Mr. Thompson.
And this